Yeah, well, this part of the exhibition really follows on from Brighton Cobden. They were sort of talking really about local politicians who were supporting the northern states in their fight to end slavery in North America. This part of the exhibition is really dealing with that civil war. I don't think people in this country really understand a lot about the sort of civil war and the reason it ended up happening. America was divided very much into two halves, I think, in the 1860s. There was a sort of southern agricultural region, and the north was really industrial. It was the southern states that were the slave-owning states. Over 2 million African slaves were working on plantations in the southern states of America at the time. When Lincoln came into power, he made a declaration to end slavery. And part of that declaration, I think part of the reason the Civil War starting was that the southern states were scared that they'd lose the slaves, basically, the cheap labour that they had, and which would end up destroying the businesses and farms and plantations. So they decided to become independent and set up their own government, basically, and which ended up starting the American Civil War off. I think it's not very widely known that a lot of enslaved Africans that escaped to the north ended up joining the Union Army to fight the slave-owning states to free and liberate their fellow African slaves. So there was about 180,000 African soldiers fighting for the Union Army by the end of the Civil War. There was also, at the time, obviously the Civil War ended up having a big impact on Lancashire during the cotton famine. The northern states had blockaded the southern states to stop cotton and other raw materials leaving to try and bankrupt the economy of the south, which had a massive effect on the mill towns of Lancashire. There was no cotton coming in, hence a lot of the mills were closing down, people were out of work. But really the story of this exhibition is how the people of Rochdale still supported the northern states, even though they were suffering and out of work and starving. They believed in the abolition of slavery, and they stuck by their beliefs. And in fact, we've got documented evidence of some Rochdale mill workers going over to America to fight for the northern states army. And here we've got an Observer article about a letter from one of those soldiers in America during the Civil War in Rochdale. So really we're just setting the scene here of why the war happened, and really showing the divide in America at the time between the southern and northern states, and setting the scene then for the rest of the exhibition.